Tim Allen, the man who brought laughter into millions of homes as the lovable, bumbling dad on Home Improvement and the voice of Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story, has long been a symbol of joy and charisma. For decades, fans admired him for his comedic timing, his warm personality, and the effortless way he turned ordinary situations into hilarious moments. But behind the smiles, the laughter, and the fame, Tim's life has carried burdens that the world rarely saw. Now, at 72, the story behind the man who made millions laugh takes a heartbreaking turn. What has happened to Tim Allen is more than personal tragedy. It's a testament to the pressures of life, fame, and the struggles that even the brightest stars cannot escape. Friends and family reveal that he has faced moments of profound loss, health challenges, and emotional battles that shook him to his core. Fans know Tim as a comedic genius, but few realize the silent struggles he endured to keep that persona alive. From personal losses that left lasting scars to unexpected health issues that changed his life forever, Tim's journey is a mixture of triumph, pain, and resilience. What he has endured behind the scenes shows a side of Tim Allen that the cameras never captured. A man grappling with heartbreak, loss, and the realities of growing older in a world that still remembers him for the laughter he once delivered so effortlessly. And once you see the truth of what has happened to him, you'll understand why this story is beyond heartbreaking. Tim Allen's rise to fame is one of Hollywood's most remarkable stories. From stand-up comedy stages to the bright lights of network television, he captured the hearts of millions with his humor, charm, and relatable everyman persona. Home Improvement wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural phenomenon. Families tuned in weekly to laugh at Tim's mishaps, miscommunications, and heartfelt attempts at fatherhood. Audiences connected with the lovable, slightly awkward dad who always tried, even when everything went wrong. But behind the laughter and applause, life for Tim Allen has never been as simple as it appeared on screen. What fans saw was a carefully curated persona, one that masked struggles few were aware of. Long before Hollywood's fame, Allen faced challenges that shaped his humor and his outlook on life. Raised in Denver, Colorado, he experienced a mix of stability and upheaval, learning early on how to navigate tough situations with wit and resilience. These experiences became the foundation of the comedic timing and grounded relatability that would define his career. The journey to stardom was not without hardship. Early in his career, Allen's personal life was fraught with obstacles that threatened to derail his dreams. Relationships tested his patience and emotional endurance, while his battle with substance abuse nearly ended everything before it began. For a man who made millions laugh, there were nights of doubt, fear, and overwhelming loneliness that no audience could see. He struggled quietly, balancing personal demons while trying to maintain the image of a confident, successful entertainer. As his career soared, the pressures only intensified. Fame brought not just recognition but scrutiny. Every joke, every public appearance, every misstep was magnified under the media's lens. Friends recall that during the height of his television success, Allen often retreated into solitude to cope with the emotional weight he carried. Even as he portrayed the charming, bumbling father on screen, he confronted inner battles that could not be laughed away. Health challenges began creeping in as well, though Tim kept them mostly private. Chronic stress, combined with the demands of a rigorous filming schedule, started affecting his physical and emotional well-being. Yet he persevered, driven by dedication to his craft and a commitment to making people laugh. Despite the outward success and accolades, each day carried the quiet burden of hidden struggles, challenges that would continue to shape his life long after the cameras stopped rolling. By the time Tim Allen reached his late 60s, the cumulative weight of these personal and professional challenges became increasingly apparent. His humor remained sharp, his performances still endearing, but those close to him could see the traces of exhaustion, sorrow, and unresolved pain behind the familiar smile. For a man who built his career on laughter, the true story behind the scenes is far more complex and far more heartbreaking. As Tim Allen entered his 50s and 60s, the personal struggles he had managed to keep hidden for decades began to take a heavier toll. While audiences saw the comedic genius, the man who could make entire rooms erupt in laughter with a simple expression or witty quip behind closed doors, Allen faced trials that were invisible to the public. One of the most painful aspects of Tim's journey has been navigating personal loss. Though he achieved immense professional success, his relationships often carried strain. Divorces and separations left deep emotional scars, reminding him that fame and wealth could never shield him from heartbreak. Friends recall periods when he seemed withdrawn, contemplative, and almost haunted by memories of what could have been. The laughter on set, the bright smiles for cameras, and the interviews that painted him as endlessly cheerful masked the deep human vulnerability he carried every day. In addition to relationship struggles, Tim also confronted the pressures of raising a family under the intense glare of public attention. Parenting is always a challenge, but for someone in the spotlight, it becomes exponentially more complicated. Every decision, every move, and every misstep is scrutinized and judged. Balancing the responsibilities of fatherhood with the demands of a high-profile career left him stretched thin, and at times emotionally drained. His children became his anchor, but even the most devoted family relationships could not fully protect him from the weight of his other struggles. Health challenges further compounded the emotional burdens. While he maintained a public image of vitality and energy, Tim quietly faced the long-term consequences of decades of stress. Back problems, chronic fatigue, and other age-related ailments began to affect his day-to-day life. Friends and colleagues noticed that he was not as energetic as he had been in earlier years, and that moments of exhaustion were often followed by a retreat into solitude. It was a man confronting the reality that time takes its toll on everyone, no matter how much fame, money, or talent they have. Even professional life, once a source of joy, began to feel heavier. While he continued acting and lending his voice to beloved characters, including Buzz Lightyear, the industry's relentless pace left him weary. Projects he once embraced with excitement now felt like obligations. The joy of creating was sometimes overshadowed by the pressures to perform, meet expectations, and maintain the image of the unstoppable entertainer that the public adored. For a man who built his career on humor and positivity, this tension between external perception and internal reality became increasingly difficult to manage. By the time Tim Allen reached 70, the accumulation of loss, fatigue, and emotional strain had become unavoidable. The man who had inspired millions with his warmth and comedic genius was quietly fighting battles that few people knew existed. The bright spotlight of fame could not illuminate the pain he carried in private, and the laughter that once defined him now existed alongside a growing awareness of life's fragility. And yet, despite it all, Tim persevered. He continued to work, to show up for his family, and to bring joy to audiences around the world. But the cost of that perseverance, the silent struggles behind the scenes, and the tragedies he endured along the way have left an impact that cannot be measured by awards or box office numbers. The story of Tim Allen at 72 is not just one of fame, it is a story of resilience in the face of heartbreak. A story of the human toll behind a life that has made so many laugh. By the time Tim Allen reached his early 70s, the cumulative impact of decades in the spotlight had begun to reveal itself in ways few could see. To the public, he remained the funny, relatable, and charismatic figure from Home Improvement and Toy Story. But behind closed doors, Allen wrestled with the profound loneliness and emotional fatigue that fame often conceals. Isolation became a quiet companion in his life. The constant attention, once exhilarating, had grown exhausting. Long hours on set, relentless media scrutiny, and a career built on maintaining a carefully crafted public persona left him feeling detached. Though surrounded by colleagues, family, and friends, Tim sometimes struggled with the sense that very few could truly understand what he had experienced. The humor that once defined him was often a mask, a shield to protect him from the vulnerability and uncertainty that had become increasingly familiar. One of the most difficult challenges was reconciling the loss of his private self with his public identity. For decades, he had been Tim Allen, the entertainer, the man who brought joy to millions. But personal tragedies, the dissolution of relationships, family struggles, and health concerns made it harder to maintain the persona audiences expected. Friends close to him noticed moments when he seemed withdrawn, contemplative, or quietly melancholic, as if carrying the weight of years of unspoken pain. Even as he continued working, the tension between his career and personal well-being became pronounced. Projects that might have once excited him now carried a sense of obligation rather than joy. While he still loved acting and storytelling, the sheer exhaustion of balancing personal life with the demands of a public career created stress that impacted his mental health. Sleep disturbances, anxiety, and emotional fatigue were increasingly common. Yet, through the isolation and struggle, there was a steadfast resilience. Tim continued to find meaning in small, intimate victories. Spending time with his children, reconnecting with longtime friends, mentoring young actors, or simply enjoying quiet moments of reflection. These moments became essential anchors, helping him navigate the challenges of aging in a world that rarely allows public figures to be vulnerable. By 72. The combination of past tragedies, health issues, and the invisible burden of fame made Tim Allen a man who understood heartbreak in a way few could. While audiences remembered the laughter, the comedy, and the warmth he projected, the real story was far more complex. A story of perseverance, private suffering, and an unyielding commitment to keep going despite the weight of life's relentless challenges. But the true turning point, what would finally help Tim reconcile his public success with private pain, was still ahead. It would require him to face his struggles openly, accept help, and learn to live on his own terms, redefining what it truly meant to be happy, at peace, and fulfilled. At 72. Tim Allen's life is a mixture of reflection, resilience, and quiet triumph. Though the tragedies and struggles he endured throughout his career have left indelible marks, they have also shaped the man he is today, a figure of wisdom, humility, and perseverance. The laughter he once gave the world continues to resonate, but now it carries a deeper layer of meaning, the understanding that joy can coexist with sorrow, and that survival is itself a victory. In recent years, Allen has embraced a slower pace of life, focusing on what truly matters. Family has become the central anchor in his world. Relationships with his children have deepened, and he makes a conscious effort to be present, nurturing bonds that were sometimes strained by the demands of fame and work. These personal connections offer him a sense of purpose that transcends awards, recognition, or box office numbers. Health and well-being have also become priorities. After decades of long hours on sets and the physical strain of performing, Allen has adapted his routines to care for both body and mind. Exercise, reflection, and therapy have all played a part in helping him manage stress and maintain stability. Friends note that he is calmer, more deliberate in his actions, and more willing to step away from projects that do not align with his personal well-being. Where once he might have overextended himself for the sake of work, he now exercises boundaries that protect his emotional health. Professionally, Allen continues to act, but selectively, Roles that spark genuine interest or creative excitement are what guide his choices, not the pressure to maintain relevance. Voice acting, in particular, has allowed him to reconnect with audiences while working in a way that is less physically and emotionally taxing. These opportunities remind him of the joy that originally drew him to performance, storytelling, laughter, and connection. But the most profound change is internal. After decades of balancing the external expectations of fame with the internal battles of life, Tim Allen has found a new kind of peace. He has learned that it is possible to grieve the past, acknowledge the pain, and still embrace life fully. The tragedies he endured, from personal loss to the invisible weight of decades in the spotlight, have not disappeared, but they no longer define him. Instead, they have become part of a story of resilience and survival. Tim's journey is a testament to the human spirit. While audiences remember the laughter, few realize the battles he fought to continue creating it. His life today is quieter, more grounded, and deeply intentional. It is a life where joy is earned, relationships are treasured, and peace is prioritized above all else. Ultimately, the story of Tim Allen at 72 is more than the tale of a beloved actor. It is a story of perseverance through heartbreak, of a man who faced personal tragedies that could have broken him, yet chose to continue. It is a story that reminds us that behind every public persona, there is a human being navigating life's challenges, and that even in the face of profound hardship, there is hope, redemption, and the possibility of living fully.